listening in on this. We will begin first by having a roll call from the directors of the Board of Water Resources. If you will answer yes when I call your name for roll call. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
Here, Mr. Chairman.
Weber River, Kyle Stevens.
Yes.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tannert.
Present.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Yes.
Green River, Randy Crozier.
Yes.
Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
Yes, I'm here.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Here.
And again, I mentioned I represent the Sevier River. I'm Blaine Ibsen here. Director Adams, would you do a roll call of the staff members, those who are here?
Sure, be more than happy to, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to go down the list of the people that are on the call, also noting that thank you to the public that's out there on the YouTube channel. Welcome to the board meeting. I can see a couple phone numbers, one that ends in 68, I think that's Randy Giordano, and one that ends in 89, that is Steve Davis. Welcome, you two on the phone and electronically through the video. Ashley Ney, Ben Merritt, Brittany Bateman, Candace Hassenjager, Carmen McDonald, Jacqueline Pacheco, Jared Hansen, Joe Williams, John Biergard, Jordan Clayton, Laura Haskell, Lindsay Russell, Marcy Larson, Marisa Egbert, Mike Spackman, and Steve. It's cut off. I apologize, Steve, but Mike and Steve from West Cache. Randy Staker, Rick Baxter, Russell Hadley, Shalane DiBernardi, Todd Stonley, Tom Cox, Trudy Davis, I believe that's Steve Davis, and then several ZWRE, Steve Wood, thanks, Marisa. Several ZWREs that are helping us with this component. Looks like we had another phone number pop up ending in 34. Please announce yourself.
That would be Stephen Wood and Mike Spackman. My audio and voice is not working on my computer, so I have to use my phone as well.
Okay, thank you and welcome. Mr. Chairman, I think that's the folks.
Okay, thank you, Director Adams. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Governor Herbert's Executive Order 2020-5 and is approved by him and will be an electronic board meeting. As far as public comments relating to the agenda item, the comment period was open May 8th and ran through noon, 12 o'clock noon today, May 14th. And public comment will not be accepted during the meeting, but that any comments that were received before 12 o'clock noon today will be read into the record during the course of the meeting. As far as a few logistics with the meeting, those who participate, we ask you to state your name and so that we can get the minutes taken correctly. Again, we appreciate everyone who is participating in this meeting. It is definitely interesting times that we live in, and we're all in this together, and we're going to make it through it. We earlier had a briefing meeting with the board this morning. Again, this is the actual board meeting. First item on our agenda, we will have approval of the minutes. Board members, all of you have read the minutes. Any questions, discussions on the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, this is Kyle Stevens, and I would move to approve the minutes as discussed earlier.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
This is Wayne Anderson. I second it.
Okay, Wayne Anderson seconded the motion. So we have a motion on the minutes by Kyle to approve them, Wayne to second them. Do we have any further discussion on the minutes before we take a vote? Okay, Randy Staker, did you receive any public comments on the minutes?
No, we did not receive any comments on the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, any further discussion by the board on the minutes? With that, then, we will take a roll call vote. The motion was to approve the minutes. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
Aye.
Weaver River, Kyle Stevens.
Yes.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tannert.
Yes.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Yes.
Green River, Randy Crozier.
Yes.
Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
Yes.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a vote by roll call. The vote was unanimous. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we will have a report on our water supply, the Nrcs snow report, and we welcome Jordan Clayton with us today. And so Jordan, we look forward to your presentation.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Again, this is Jordan Clayton from the Nrcs, and I'm going to get my screen shared here. If you'll bear with me for 1 second. Okay, can you see the slides all right?
Yes.
Great. Well, again, thank you for having me. I appreciate being a part of this meeting. Again, this is a water supply update from the Nrcs. My name is Jordan Clayton. Please feel free to contact me with any follow-up questions. I wanted to start by talking about the remaining snowpack that we have, and so I'll be going through some information about that. We'll also talk about the precipitation conditions, some streamflow forecasts, and other details. This map shows the snow water equivalent percent of average as of yesterday. We've lost most of our snowpack over the last month and a half, so this is just reflecting the fact that not much left. There's a little bit less left than normal for this time of year, depending on which basin you're looking at there. And I'll be a little bit more specific. If we look statewide, I've circled the number for our current percent normal as of yesterday. Our statewide snow water equivalent as of yesterday is 44%. So we're way below normal. What happened was a pretty large change from April 1st to May 1st. I'll get to that in just a minute, but I also want to talk about precipitation. The precipitation is shown for each basin here, also reflected by the percent normal values and colored as such. The yellow colors are from 70 to 89% if you can't see the resolution of the image. At any time, if you can't hear me okay, I'm happy to speak up, so please just let me know. In any case, this shows you the distribution of precipitation percent averages for the state. And what happened over the last month is that we really didn't receive the precipitation that we needed. What's shown on the left diagram here is the precipitation from the beginning of the water year, which is October 1st, through time, and our current precipitation is shown by the black line. I'm hearing a bunch of feedback. There we go. And there's the the average conditions are shown by the green line. That's for the entire state, and as it's shown on the details in the upper left of that diagram, we only received 50% of the normal precipitation for the month of April. That's going to be reflected in a really large reduction in our streamflow forecast from the report that we delivered on April 1st relative to the one we just delivered about a week ago. The individual SNOTEL sites month-to-date precipitation are shown on the right side. Each one of those is colored by the percent normal precipitation that it received. So as you can see also for the basins, the values show what kind of precipitation was received for April. The entire state had substandard precipitation for the month of April. Well, that really did a number on our snowpack. What's shown on the left side there is an enlargement of just the period I've been talking about from March 20th to the present time. Again, with the black line showing the current snow water equivalent values relative to the green line, which is normal. We were above normal or hovering right around it until around mid-April. And then we've really taken a turn where, again, we didn't receive the precipitation that we normally would get during the month of April, coupled with some warm temperatures led to a really large drop in our snow up in the mountains over the last 30 to 40 days. And that's what's shown on the right side here. These are the actual inches of water loss at each one of our mountain weather stations. And you can see those values in some places are really quite large. These are normal than average, larger than normal drops in snow water equivalent. This is the same graph I showed before, except as I often do in these presentations, I like to compare with previous years. So again, the black line shows the current water year relative to the green center line, which is normal. Above that is kind of a jagged line, which is last year, that's 2019. We obviously were doing much better this time of year last year. 2 years ago was shown below the black line with kind of the purplish, I suppose. Apologize, the colors don't pronounce as well as I'd hoped. But in any case, we're still doing much better than we did in 2018, which was pretty dismal from a snowpack perspective. Getting into specific basins, I wanted to take you through regions within the state. This is for the Provo Jordan, basically the same graph. We'll be comparing for different portions of the state here in the next slide. For northern Utah, the Bear is on the upper left, Weber Ogden upper right, northeastern Uintas bottom left, and Duchesne bottom right. You can see for each one the trend relative to normal and relative to the previous 2 water years. I do, for in the interest of time, need to keep going. I couldn't, of course, include all the basins in the state here, but if you're interested in more of these, please reach out to me. And I also did deliver copies of these slides to DWR, so they will be available if anyone is interested. Southern Utah, Price, San Rafael on the upper left, Upper Sevier, upper right. Southeastern Utah, bottom left. Southeastern Utah is basically melted out at this point. And Escalante, more or less the same, is melted out at this point, shown in the bottom right. The sites that did the best in terms of the absolute total amount of water at the Snowtail site were all along the Wasatch Front or in the Bear headwaters, Tony Grove Lake, Farmington, and Snowbird. Snowbird still has quite a bit of water equivalent as of today. The sites that did the best in terms of their percent normal were one in the Oakers, the Dry Fork, which is shown on the map there, the east slope of the Oakers, just above the mine. And then the other 2 were in the north slope of the Uintas, the Hole in the Rock and the Hickerson Park Snowtail sites, were both well above normal when they were at their peak. We also are interested, of course, in individual Snowtail sites, and in particular, the Trial Lake site is of great importance to us because of its location at the headwaters of the Duchesne, the Bear, the Provo, and the Weber watersheds. It's pretty similar to the statewide story for the Trial Lake Snowtail site. Started off above normal. We've now gotten below normal conditions for Trial Lake as expected. As an aside, I wanted to include at least one slide about a new site that we're looking to install this summer. We are already working with the Forest Service to permit a new site at Wolf Creek Pass, which is shown roughly by the red dot. The final location for this is still being finalized, so I don't want to be too specific about that, but it'll essentially be right at Wolf Creek Pass along Highway 35. We did do some recon this winter to test out how well that site will retain snow, and of course, to assess the suitability of different locations. And just for your interest, the 2 times that we went out there, both times the Wolf Creek Pass site that we're considering was doing better than Trial Lake. And so you can see the numbers there for February 28th and for April 29th. We're pretty excited about this location. I know that it's going to be helpful for both the Duchesne and the Provo watersheds in terms of their snowpack, and it'll hopefully retain snow quite well. We'll keep working on that. Reservoirs are doing really well. The previous year conditions are shown for each one of these areas on the left side there in the green, and the current year conditions are shown in the blue. So you can see pretty much across the state, we have an improvement from last year. It's because, of course, last year's snowpack was outstanding. We started off this winter also doing very well with our snowpack, so that's not surprising to see that. The reservoir conditions across the state are shown by the different colored circles on the right side here, and that's again colored by percent of average. The green colors are good. Other agency updates, this is from the Bureau of Reclamation, showing obviously the reservoirs in different portions of the state and how full they are. These are nice because they of course also include the size of the reservoirs for scale. I didn't include all of these, but you get an idea from these examples. This is from the US Geological Survey. Interesting diagram on the left, just showing for all the streams in Utah, how much flow there is relative to normal over a period of time. You can see we're hovering around normal, just a little bit above for this period of time. And you can see that also in the diagram that they supply on the right side there. We're just a little bit above normal because of our early-ish melt that we received from a lot of our snow sites. That's the story here as well. The left side here shows the soil moisture, and that's the black line on the diagram on the left relative to normal, which is the green line. We're well above normal soil moisture for this date, as of May 1st anyway, as is also shown by the percent of average at our individual sites on the right side there on the map. I don't want to give the wrong impression from this. The reason why we have above normal soil moisture for May 1st is just because we had an early melt. And so normally some of that water would still be stored in the snowpack. Well, as opposed to that happening this year, it melted a little early, so a lot of that water got delivered into the soils. So I don't want to give the impression that we have a surplus hydrologically. It's really just moving from the snow storage into the soil storage of that water. Well, that affects our forecasts. What's shown here are the water supply forecasts for all of our forecast points in the state, and also with the backdrop of the basins. The numbers by each basin is the percent normal when you amalgamate all those forecast points across those regions. These are quite a lot lower than April 1st values, and again, that reflects the drastic reduction in snow water equivalent that we saw from April 1st to May 1st. And most of that had to do with the dismal precipitation that we received during the month of April. So our water supply forecasts for last month were quite a lot more hopeful than these ones. So I wanted to make sure people were aware of the reduced numbers. We have these kinds of diagrams on our webpage for each basin. It's a little bit confusing. There's a lot going on here, but just to walk you through it, what's shown for each one of the forecast points, which are listed on the left side, is the forecast point itself. And then for each one of the forecast points, it shows the value in terms of thousands of acre feet of what we predict for that forecast point from April 1st until the end of July. And so, for example, if we're looking at Mammoth Creek near Hatch, the top example there, the most reliable, or the most, I would say, the most expected forecast is that middle value, the 50% value. And so we're forecasting for Mammoth Creek near Hatch is 23,000 acre feet over that April to July period. And all those are scaled against that middle gray vertical line, which is normal. So you can see the 50%, which is again the middle of those predictions, is below average, below that, less than that gray line for each one of those forecast points, with the exception of the Sevier River below Paiute Dam. Same thing for this region, Price San Rafael, all the forecast points well below normal. You can see the actual values by those written for each one of those forecast points by the middle number. Same thing here for the Salt Lake area. Obviously, this is too fast if you wanted to look at individual numbers in detail, but we can go through, I can show you where to find these on the website if you reach out to me for each one of the basins in the state. From the forecasts, we assemble what are called surface water supply indexes. I know Laura's going to be talking about this a little bit more. I just wanted to introduce you to the concept and talk about the May 1st values from this year. These are values that combine what we predict in terms of the volume of stream flow from April to July, and we combine those with the reservoir conditions for each one of these regions and get an overall percentile for those regions in terms of how it's faring relative to the previous 30 years. Those are shown by those percentiles relative to 50%, circled by the red oval. And you can see years with similar SWASI values shown all the way on the right side for each one of those basins. All those are included in our recent water supply outlook report. Here's an example for the Weber River. You can see on the green portion of that graph, that's the stream flow portion. That's what we're predicting for the Weber River for this 2020 runoff season relative to the reservoir storage, which is in the blue portion of that graph. Of course, we include all those and basin summaries and other information in our reports. Here's an example for the Weber and Ogden. On the left side, we have cover pages with snowpack, soil moisture, precipitation, and reservoir storage for each region of the state, and maps that include the circles, which are snow-tell sites, and also the forecast points shown in the triangles on the right side of the screen here. Just again, a reference to our water supply outlook report that just came out. It's available on our webpage, and also feel free to reach out to me if you didn't already receive one in your email inbox. I'm happy to add you to our distribution list. We also maintain scan sites. I don't usually talk about scan sites during these presentations, but I wanted to make sure that you were aware that we have weather stations at low elevation valley locations as well. They have a different suite of sensors. They don't measure the snowpack, but they do have quite a lot of local climatic information, such as soil moisture, air temperature, wind, solar radiation, and other factors that'll be useful in case people are interested in those from a drought perspective or other important connections that they need to make. We include SCAN, Soil Climate Analysis Network information in our climate and water reports, which also come out monthly throughout the year. The water supply outlook reports, of course, just come out in the spring, but the the climate and water reports come out monthly every month of the year. We also include in the climate and water reports a similar thing to the SWSI index. This is the water availability index, which is conceptually exactly the same, except it's not forward-looking. It's just a snapshot of what's happening right now. So these just combine current stream flow, not forecast stream flow, current stream flow with reservoir conditions, and again, are ranked relative to the previous 30 years for each basin. Finally, this is the outlook from Noaa for the next several months. The left side is precipitation, showing equal chance of above or below normal precipitation. The right side is temperatures, showing that there's a likelihood of above normal temperatures, particularly for the southwestern portion of the state over the next couple months. Those are all the slides that I have. I'm happy to take any questions that you have, and I will exit my presentation at this time.
Thank you, Jordan. Not a real wet, rosy presentation, but we appreciate it.
I wish I could give better news.
I do too. Board members, do you have any questions for Jordan? Okay, thank you, Jordan. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Okay, next item on our agenda, we will go to project under feasibility reports, project RE433. It's West Cache Irrigation Company, and Russell Hadley will be giving the staff report on it. We would ask those initially from the company to identify yourself, anyone here representing it, and before you speak, just identify yourself if you would, please.
This is Stephen Wood with Sunrise Engineering. We're the consulting firm working with the West Cache Irrigation Company.
Welcome, Stephen.
Mike Spackman, board member.
Welcome, Mike.
Sid Monk, president. Mike here is also the vice president.
Welcome, Sid.
Thank you.
That's all of us for the West Cache.
Okay, thank you. Russell?
Just a concern. Did anyone else notice that it seemed like it says the meeting has stopped recording? Did something happen there?
The meeting is being recorded. We can confirm the recorder is running.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is Russell Hadley. Okay, next slide, yes. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Okay, this the proposed project here for West Cache Irrigation Company is in Trenton in Cache County. And before we move on, I want to point out a little error on the map here. If you notice up in the upper right corner in the key, the second line there, with the blue dotted line that says Hansen Canal is abandoned. That is incorrect. That is the Azola Canal that is abandoned. The next line down, lists the Azola lateral pipeline. That is the Hansen lateral pipeline. That's on me. Apparently, I thought I knew this system real well when I made that map. Anyway, that will be changed in our official documents. We just didn't have time to get it on the presentation today. Okay. Okay, the applicant has completed 3 previous projects with the board. Those projects have been paid off. The applicant currently has another committed project with the board to pipe the Newton lateral on the bottom end of the system, complete with a pump station installed on Cutler Reservoir. The Hansen ditch is 5,600 feet long, and the Azola ditch is 5,900 feet long, and they serve 652 acres of farmland. Both are totally earthen, and no, the Azola ditch is totally earthen, and they both serve 9 shareholders. About 430 acres, or 66% of the farms, are pressurized with 5 pumps. The other 222 acres, or 34%, are flood irrigated. It is estimated that about 856 acre feet of the applicant's water is lost to seepage and weed growth in the Hansen and Azola ditches. Jacqueline, could you forward the slide? Okay. As shown, benefits are 856 acre feet will be saved annually, 5,000 kilowatts of electrical savings. There will be reduced operation and maintenance, and reduced weed and moss killer will be needed. The applicant is requesting financial assistance from the board to pipe and extend the Hansen ditch with 6,300 feet of pipe, install a pump station consisting of 3 65 horsepower pumps, and abandon the Azola ditch. All farms will be pressurized at completion. Okay, as shown in the cost estimate, the total project cost is $828,000. Starting with cost sharing, the board is being requested to provide $407,000 or 49.2% of the project cost. A Water Smart grant will provide $350,000 or 42.3%, and the applicant will provide $71,000 or 8.5% of the project cost for a total cost sharing of $828,000. Now, to discuss the financial feasibility for a moment, with the board's cost share of the project being 49.2%, it generally would be suggested the applicant's repayment ability be calculated at 49.2% of the net annual benefit, or approximately $44,820 of the $91,100 net benefit. However, that repayment would require a repayment term of less than 10 years. Since the board currently allows a minimum repayment term of 15 years, it is recommended that the board allow payments of $27,200 for approximately 15 years at 0% interest. This repayment is equal to about $41.72 per acre for the 652 acres benefiting from the project. Current assessments are $150 per shareholder for operation, plus $30.50 per share for maintenance. And therefore, staff would recommend board authorize 49.2% of the project cost up to $407,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over approximately 15 years with annual payments of $27,200. Now, at this point, sponsor would like to make a special request from the board regarding repayment terms. Go ahead, guys.
And if you'll identify yourself, please.
This is Mike Spackman, West Cache, the Vice President. On this project, we have some heavy clay ground that's rather cold, and we are in a cold climate, and we lack cash crops in this area. And also some of the water users on this was a little gun shy about doing it. Therefore, we're requesting a 25-year repayment schedule to make it feasible to make this project work. And for those reasons, I guess we get that.
Okay, have you figured out what those terms would be, Russell? Are you there, Russell?
Excuse me, forgot to unmute myself. Okay, at 0% interest over 25 years with annual payments of $16,300. That would mean their payments per acre would drop to $25. Their assessments would need to increase by $25 per acre as opposed to $41.72 per acre.
Okay, thank you, Russell. Does anyone from the applicant from West Cache Irrigation Company, do you have any other comments or things you'd like to add? Okay, board members.
One thing real quick with the West Cache, the shareholders along there, they do know that the 15-year has been recommended from staff, but in the event that the 15-year is held to, there is a general consensus that they may want to abandon the project just due to the financial impact. They've made mention that if we can get the 25 years, then we're going to go ahead and do it. It'll be a great project, but they're just very concerned with the 15-year, and so there will have to be a revoting of that if the recommendation moves forward of the 15 years.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from West Cache?
No, that will be it.
Okay, board members, do you have any questions for or discussion for West Cache?
Mr. Chairman, this is Charles Holmgren. I just have a question. If the current assessment at $30.50 per acre, and you add the $25, that puts you up at $55.50 an acre. Is that correct?
This is Russell. That's correct to me.
Yeah, this is Stephen Wood with the West Cache, and yes, that would be correct.
Okay. And what would the amount be with the $41.72 per acre? Have you calculated that?
That'd be $72.22 per acre.
Per acre, right. I just want to that's all.
Okay, any other questions from the board for the applicants? Okay, Randy Staker, did we receive any public comments on this proposed project?
No, we did not.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, board, do you have any discussion that you'd like to have on this project? Sounds like no discussion.
Director, there was one additional comment that the Canal Company would like to make, if that's appropriate at this time.
Yes, please.
We do have a concern there. This is Sid Monk. We do have a concern there with the annual assessment of the West Cache Irrigation Company on the stockholders. We have been holding that down as much as possible over actually the last 10 years, trying to, I guess, keep the farmers in business, keep them somewhat productive, if anything. And we have been able to keep up with inflation, have been able to purchase any new equipment, or very much new equipment during that period of time. And looking ahead, we will probably have to raise the West Cache Irrigation annual assessment substantially. We figure it's in the next 5 to 10 years, which would put a real hardship on those on this Hanson Isola project or Hanson Ditch project. So there's some great concern there. It is heavier ground. It is harder to make it productive. I think it's a wonderful project, but boy, to lower that assessment and get an extra 10 years on the payback would be wonderful.
Makes the project doable.
Okay. I just had one question. Have you started the Water Smart grant process yet on this? This is Blaine.
The Water Smart grant has been started. We have been approved, and we are in the process of finalizing the agreement with the Bureau of Reclamation now. We have the draft copy of the agreement, and their attorney is finalizing it. We are hoping that we will be able to have that finalized and have the funds be able to be withdrawn within the next month.
Okay. So as I understand it, it sounds like that your irrigation company's position is that if you're able to get 25 years approved from the Board of Water Resources, the project's a go. If it stays at 15, it probably is not a go. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, board members, any further discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion on the feasibility report for project RE 433.
Mr. Chairman, this is board member Charles Holmgren, and I will make a motion that the board authorize 49.2% of the project cost up to $407,000, and that the purchase at 0% interest over approximately 25 years and $1,300.
So Charles, you were really breaking up pretty bad there. Let me restate as I think what you said and tell us if it's correct. I think your motion was that the board authorized 49.2% of the project cost up to $407,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over approximately 25 years with annual payments of $16,300. Was that your motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is my motion.
Okay,
This is Kyle Stevens. I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion before we vote? Okay, we will take a vote. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
Chairman, I vote aye.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You broke up. Can you move up to your mic?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I vote aye.
Aye for Charles Holmgren. Weber River, Kyle Stevens.
Yes.
Juliet Tanner, Salt Lake.
Aye.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson. Are you there, Wayne?
Yeah, if I can get my computer unmuted. Aye.
Aye for Wayne Anderson. Green River, Randy Crozier. Are you there, Randy?
*6 for the phone, Randy.
Aye.
Okay, Randy votes aye. Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson. Norman? It says he has left.
I think we just lost Norm.
Just lost Norm. Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, we have all voted except for Norman Johnson, who just lost reception. Voted aye. Should we wait and see if we can get Norm back, or we have
Let's
a
wait.
majority?
Let's wait. We do have a majority, but let's wait. Marisa, I think, is trying to get him back on the phone.
Okay.
Norm, you need to do *6 or the mute button on your phone. I can hear some staticky, so I think he's trying to talk. What if he gave you a thumbs up? Norm?
I'm here.
There
Okay.
he is. There he is.
Oh, okay.
I vote aye.
You were here when we made the motion in second, were you?
Yes,
Were
I
you on?
was.
Okay, so your vote is aye.
My
Okay.
vote is aye.
Okay, thank you, Norm. The voting has been unanimous by roll call. Motion passes. Congratulations, West Cache, and good luck on your project. Thank you.
This is Stephen and the board members of West Cache. We'd just like to thank the board for hearing us out, and we look forward to a wonderful project. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move along under feasibility reports on the agenda to project RE436 Muddy
Wayne,
Creek.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I need to call Randy Crozier back into the meeting.
Okay, we'll hold off on moving into 436 for a minute then.
So you will hear ringing, like a phone ringing. Randy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Welcome back, Randy. Okay, we're just moving into under feasibility reports, project RE436, Muddy Creek Irrigation Company. And so is anybody here from Muddy Creek Irrigation Company? If you would would you please identify yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jared Hansen with Jones and Mill Engineering, and there's Morris Sorensen, president of Muddy Creek Irrigation, and Abby Christiansen, the secretary of Muddy Creek Irrigation.
Okay, welcome Jared, Abby, and Morris. We welcome you with us today. Appreciate you being with us. Jacqueline from staff will be giving the staff presentation. Jacqueline?
Muddy Creek Irrigation Company has been a vital contributor to the agricultural community of Emery County since 1886. Approximately 5% of the diverted water is delivered to Emery Town for culinary and secondary uses. The applicant serves 107 shareholders with approximately 5,640 shares who irrigate about 7,800 acres. The shareholders in the company are divided into the Emery Series and the Moore Group Independent Canal with 93 and 14 shareholders respectively. This project will directly benefit the Emery Series. The applicant has received financial assistance from the board to fund 4 projects in the past. This map here will summarize the previous projects, and it'll show the new one, and I'll walk you through those projects. In 2008, the board funded the project to replace its diversion structure on Muddy Creek with a new structure incorporating sedimentation basins. In 2011, they received funding for phase 1 of their pipeline project to install 6.3 miles of pipeline. In 2018, the Emery Series implemented phase 2 of their project, which consisted of extending the pipeline from Muddy Creek an additional 4.1 miles and installing regulating ponds. In that same year, the Moore Group Independent Canal replaced approximately 1.9 miles of open canal and 2.9 miles of pressurized pipe with a new pressurized pipeline. So on the screen, this would be phase 1, 2, and then this is a proposed third phase. And then this is the Moore Group Independent Canal project. The purpose of the project, phase 3, is to pressurize the remainder of the irrigation system by installing approximately 7 miles of pipeline to deliver water to the east side of Muddy Creek Irrigation Company. Project benefits are that it will conserve approximately 190 acre-feet of water annually, reduce salt loading, reduce operation and maintenance costs, and eliminate the liability of an open canal. The estimated project cost is $5,583,000. The applicant has received a $4,583,000 solidity control grant from the Bureau of Reclamation. They are requesting $850,000 from the board, which is equivalent to 15.2% of the total project cost. Staff recommends the board authorize 15.2% of the project cost up to $850,000, and that the project be purchased at 1% interest over 23 years with annual payments of approximately $41,600. That is staff's report.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Muddy Creek Irrigation Company, either Morris or Abby or Jared, do you have anything that you would like to comment on or add in addition to what Jacqueline has said?
We are.
And if you'll identify yourself also, please. I'm
president of the irrigation company, Morris. We are in the process of about 15 or 16 years of going through this process, and we're getting down to the final goal. And we have approximately 50% of it in, well, a little over 50% of it in, and this will conclude our pipeline. Will enable us to better utilize the water.
okay. Any other comments?
The only other thing that I would add is, along with this funding, we have made a request through the Nrcs and the RCPP program to fund the final phases, which would be the on-farm, well, the near-farm systems, make the final connection. And that money has been granted contingent on this funding going through today. So that will basically complete the pipeline projects and provide delivery to all the farms with this. So we're excited about that, and much needed benefit to this community. In my background, I think this is just a capstone to maybe what the Pioneers' heritage started out in making progress in a harsh land, and these folks today continuing to make that even better. And so we appreciate anything that you could do to continue that.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board for Muddy Creek Irrigation Company. One question that I have is, are your stockholders, the Moore stockholders and the Emory stockholders, all on board with this project and with the other payments that you have with your other approved loans? Is this feasible for you to do?
It is.
And all of the stockholders are on board with it?
I mean, there was 72%.
Okay.
It was passed in a board meeting, the annual meeting this last year. And I think, Morris, you also said that one of the current outstanding loans with the board will be paid off in the next couple of years. And so that will help create the balance make room for this one.
Okay, do you have that Bureau of Reclamation Salinity Control grant in hand?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Other board members, do you have any questions for Muddy Creek Irrigation Company?
Mr. Chairman, this is Charles Holmgren. I just had a question about the size of the mobilization cost on the project, but it is a $5.5 million project. Maybe that's not such a great amount. I don't know. Just a question about mobilization cost.
I think what you might be looking at is an engineer's estimate. We have not put the project out to bid, but maybe some of those estimates came from the phase 2. Some of that has to do with some of the remoteness of our area. We have limited abilities locally. So some of the contractors that are potentially to bid on this will come from out of the area. We've seen higher costs from them, and it usually is in that mobilization category. But depending on what we can get locally with the experience to handle the HDP fight, that this is intended to build with. So maybe what you're looking at there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, Randy Staker, were any public comments received on this project?
No, there were no comments received.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, with that,
Are you ready for a motion?
Well, is there any, before our motion, is there any discussion from the board, further discussion? We had questions for the applicant. Does the board have any discussion among the board that we want to go through?
This is Norman Johnson. I think all my questions were answered.
Okay, anyone else have any questions? Okay, with that, we'll entertain a motion on this project.
All right, this is Norman Johnson. I'll make a motion on this project that the board authorize up to 15.2% of the project cost, up to $850,000, and that the project be purchased at 1% interest over 23 years with annual payments of approximately $41,600.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to second.
Okay, Juliet seconds the motion. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion prior to when we take a vote? If not, we'll go through a roll call vote on this. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
I vote aye.
Weber River, Kyle Stevens.
Aye.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tennert.
Aye.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Green River, Randy Crozier.
Aye.
Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
I vote aye.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a roll call vote. The voting was unanimous. The project under the feasibility is approved. Congratulations, Muddy Creek Irrigation Company, and good luck on it. Okay, if could remind everybody once again, to unmute your phone, you need to go, if you're muted, *6, if you can just remember that. With that, we'll go on to the next section of our agenda, committal of funds, project RE 430. It's Weber Basin Water Conservancy District, and Ben Merritt will be giving the presentation, but those who are here from Weber County, Weber Basin Water Conservancy District, will you please identify yourself?
This is Brittany Bateman, Director of Finance.
Welcome, Brittany.
Hi, this is Ashley Nay. I'm the environmental analyst.
Welcome, Ashley. So both of you are the ones who are here today representing the Water Conservancy District. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ben.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I cannot actually see the slideshow, so I don't know if it's up there.
It's there.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. October 2019, the board authorized the proposed project from Weber Basin Water Conservancy District to install 2,850 secondary meters in West Bountiful and Woods Cross. There's a map in there, Jacqueline, if you'd show that. I can't see it, but hopefully you guys can. It shows where all the meters are going to be installed. And then if you want to go to the next slide, I guess. Construction began in fall 2019, and it's expected to proceed fall and spring until April 2022. To date, they've installed 750 meters, and they have contributed substantially to the project already financially, and are ready for bonding. Jacqueline, if you want to go ahead and advance the slides kind of with me. I'll try and get this figured out after this, after my presentation is over, before my other ones. The project has a number of benefits. There's a benefits slide in there. They're expected to conserve water, increase sustainability of the aquifer, meet future demand, and reduce energy usage. And I can't see the motion to read it, so Mr. Chairman, if you want to, maybe you can read that for the board.
I will. Yes, I will. It says staff recommends the board commit 71.5% of the project cost up to $2,688,000, and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $208,000, which includes reserves.
And that is staff support. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Brittany or Ashley, do you have anything you would like to add?
I don't have anything to add, no.
No, we don't have anything to add either.
Okay, board members, do you have any questions for Brittany or Ashley? Okay, Randy Staker, were any public comments received on this project?
No, there were no comments.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, board members, do you have any discussion that you would like to have on this project prior to when we make a motion? Okay, with that then, I'll entertain a motion on this project.
Mr. Chairman, this is Kyle Stevens. I'm prepared to make the motion, but before that, with just having been a former board member of the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District, just want to have Brittany and Ashley tell all the staff hi, and it's good to see you again. My motion would be that the board commit 71.5% of the project cost up to $2,688,000, and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $208,000, which includes reserves.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second on the motion?
This is Randy Crozier. I'll second it.
Okay, Randy seconded the motion. Before we take a vote, is there any further discussion on this motion? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
Mr. Chairman, I vote aye.
Weber River, Kyle Stevens.
Aye.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tennant.
Aye.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Green River, Randy Crozier.
Aye.
Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
I vote aye.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a roll call vote. The voting was unanimous. The project on committal of funds is approved. Congratulations, Ashley and Brittany. Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I will also add, Kyle said he was a past Weber Basin board member, but Ashley was a past Water Resources board member. It's good to see you again, Ashley. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And
it's
I
so
will
fun
also
to come to these meetings for me.
Yes, it is, but not this way, right? It's better to see everybody in person.
I know.
Also, just a reminder to the board that this is part of the $10 million a year that was allocated for secondary metering from the board fund. So good project.
Yes, that's a good add-in. Thank you, Todd. Director Adams, thank you. Okay, moving down the agenda under special items. First one we'll discuss is project RC019. It's Fremont Irrigation Company. And do we have any representation today from Fremont Irrigation Company? And if you are, would you please identify yourself?
Mr. Chairman, this is Tom Cox. There wasn't anyone planning on attending the meeting because it's a dam safety project.
Okay, so you will be given the presentation then, Tom. So please go ahead with it.
Okay, Mill Meadow Dam is located in Wayne County, and back in 2013, the board provided funding for phase one of the project to update the dam to state minimum standards. Phase two has started, and in 2018, the board committed $1,950,000 for that work. The final inspection was held last week, and so there's just a few punch list items remaining for that project. However, during the work, the project needed an extended tow drain system over and above what was planned. And so that has driven the cost up, as well as a few other issues, and the engineer needing to be on site for a longer period of time. So those issues have driven the project cost up $290,000 to a total of $2,240,000. And so it's staff recommends that the board. Oh, Jacqueline, do you want to change the slide? Thank you. The staff recommends the board commit an additional $251,000 in dam safety grant and $29,000 in dam safety loan. The grant contract will be amended to provide 90% of the phase two costs, up to $2,016,000. The loan agreement will be amended to provide 10% of the project cost, up to $284,000, to be returned at 0% interest over 22 years, with annual payments of $6,000 the first 3 years and approximately $14,000 thereafter. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that's staff's report.
Thank you, Tom. Board members, do you have any questions regarding this for Tom? Randy Staker, did you receive any public comment on this project?
No, I did not.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, board members, do you have any discussion you want to have on this project before we have a motion? If not, I'll entertain a motion regarding this project.
This is Jim Lemon. I would make the motion that the board commit an additional $261,000 in dam safety grant and $29,000 in dam safety loan. The grant contract will be amended to provide 90% of phase two costs, up to $2,016,000. The loan agreement will be amended to provide 10% of the project cost, up to $284,000, to be returned at 0% interest over 22 years, with annual payments of $6,000 for the first 3 years and approximately $14,000 thereafter.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Kyle Stevens. I'll
second it.
second the motion.
Okay, Kyle Stevens seconded the motion. We've had a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or clarification needed on this motion or this project? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
Mr. Chairman, Charles Holmgren votes aye.
Weber River, Kyle Stevens.
Aye.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tennert.
Aye.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Green River, Randy Crozier. Are you with us, Randy? Okay, maybe Randy got cut off. If Marisa, if you can see if you can get him back. We'll continue on with our vote while she works on Randy. Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
I vote aye.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, waiting on Randy.
Randy, remember to do *6 or the mute button on your phone, whichever one you need.
Aye.
Okay, Randy votes aye. Were you with us when the motion was made in the second, Randy?
Yeah, it just, somebody had muted me besides I was muting it on the phone.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So we've had a vote on the motion, which was seconded. The voting was unanimous through a roll call vote. The project passes for Fremont Irrigation Company. Thank you, Tom. Next project on the agenda, it's project RE387, West Warren and Warren WID, and it's in Ben Merritt will be giving the presentation. Is anyone here today from West Warren? Warren, if so, would you please identify yourself?
This is Randy Giordano, Chairman of the Board from West Warren.
Welcome, Randy.
Hello. This is Steve Davis from the West Warren Water District.
Welcome, Steve.
This is John Biergard, Wasatch Civil Engineering District Consulting Engineer.
Welcome, John. Thank you. Ben is going to give the staff presentation. So, Ben.
Thank you. Jacqueline, if you want to go ahead and advance the slide. I can see it this time now, so good.
Good.
Okay, with the assistance of the Board of Water Resources and Weber County, West Warren and Warren Water Improvement District installed over 3 miles of distribution pipeline, potable water, as well as over 20 fire hydrants.
What else do you have? You do everything.
Project gave them enough capacity to meet future demand requirements and to meet required fire flows. Bids for the project came in substantially lower than expected. And as a result, there's approximately $700,000 left in their escrow account for the bond. Next slide, Jacqueline. Thank you. The applicant is seeking the board's permission to use the remaining funds in their escrow account for system improvements outside the scope of the original project. These improvements, you can see there's 2 black lines and a black square on the map. Approximately in the center and to the left, they would like to install 2,900 feet of 8-inch pipeline to close the system loop. And then the black line in the lower right-hand corner, they would like to replace 3,300 feet of 6-inch line with 8-inch line. And then in the bottom, and slightly to the right, they would like to install a redundant metering and pressure reducing valve station, which connects to Weber Basin Water Conservancy District's delivery system. They purchase all their water from Weber Basin. Next slide, please. So the project has a number of benefits, including reducing vulnerability to breaks, helping them meet demand requirements, better water quality, and system redundancy. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the board allow the remaining escrow funds to be used to expand the project scope to include the improvements detailed in this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. From the Improvement District, do you have anything you would like to add to what Ben has presented? And identify yourself when you speak, please.
This is Randy. No.
Okay. How about Steve or John? Guess not. Okay. Board, do you have any questions for West Warren Water Improvement District? Okay, Randy Staker, were any public comments received on this project?
No, there were not.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, board, do you have any discussion with the board you want to discuss on this project prior to making a motion? If not, we'll entertain a motion on this project.
Mr. Chairman, this is Kyle Stevens. Before I make the motion, I'd just like to compliment the district on being forward thinking and looking at ways in which they can utilize money that they've already had committed and being able to better utilize the water that they have and provide a needed service to the citizens there. So compliment them for that. And with that, I would make a motion that the board allow the remaining escrow funds to be used to expand the project scope to include the improvements that have been detailed in this report and just reported to us by Ben Merritt.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
This is Wayne. I second it.
Okay, Wayne seconds the motion. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion or clarification on the motion or the project before taking a vote? Okay, we will take a roll call vote. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
Mr. Chairman, Charles Holmgren votes aye.
Weber River, Kyle Stevens.
Aye.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tennert.
Aye.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Green River, Randy Crozier.
Aye.
Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
I vote aye.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a roll call vote on the motion, which was made. The voting was unanimous. Thank you. So this project will be approved. Congratulations, Randy, Steve, and John. Good luck on your project.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is item RE 415. It's Blanding City recommittal of funds. Ben Merritt will be given the presentation, and my understanding is no one from Blanding City will be attending, but is anyone from Blanding City on the line? If so, would you identify yourself, please? Okay, Ben, take her away.
Okay, so I live in Syracuse, directly west of Hill Air Force Base, and the jets are flying overhead right now. So if you guys can hear that, I apologize. They'll be gone in 2 minutes, I promise. This happens about 5 times a day, so I kind of don't usually notice, but okay. So Blanding City, next slide, please. So the Blanding City has proposed a storm sewer flood project within their city limits. The project had funds previously committed by the Board of Water Resources. It's entering the construction phase this summer. After soliciting bids for the project for the first time, there were no bids submitted. And so the city solicited bids a second time, and they did receive a number of bids that time. The lowest bid, which was accepted by the city, was substantially below the cost estimate. And so they felt like it was within their best financial interest to request a decrease in committed funding from the board. Next slide, please. So the project cost dropped by $350,000 or so, as you can see there. So staff recommends that the board commit 85% of the project up to $1,425,000, and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 30 years, with annual payments of approximately $57,000, including reserves. And that is staff's report.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions from the board for Ben? Okay, Randy Staker, were any public comments received on this project?
Yes. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. No, there were no comments.
You caught my attention.
I've seen if anybody was listening, so.
Thank you, Randy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, board, any discussion on this project before we entertain a motion? Seeing there is none, we'll entertain a motion on this project.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would I recommend.
You're really breaking up, Norm.
What that is. I make the board commit 85% of the project up $1,425,000, and that the bonded indebtedness be returned over 30 years, with annual payments of approximately $57,000, which includes reserves.
Okay, you broke up a bit on that, Norm, so let me reiterate what I think your motion was and tell me if that is correct. Your motion, as I heard it, I think, was that the board commit 85% of the project cost up to $1,425,000, and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 30 years with annual payments of approximately $57,000, including reserves. Is that what your motion was, Norm?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second on the motion?
This is Kyle Stevens. I'll second the motion.
Okay, Kyle seconds the motion. We have a motion and a second. Before voting, is there any further discussion or clarification on the motion or the project from the board? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote on the motion. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
Mr. Chairman, Charles Holmgren votes aye.
Weber River, Kyle Stevens.
Aye.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tennert.
Aye.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Green River, Randy Crozier.
Aye.
Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
I vote aye.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a vote from the board on a roll call vote. The voting was unanimous, so the project passes. Thank you, Ben. Okay, next item on the agenda, project RE381 at Silver Creek Reservoir Irrigation Company. It's a withdrawal of application. Jacqueline, you have this presentation, and
Actually, Blaine, I think you skipped one.
Did I? Which one did I?
RE 420, Bear River Canal Company.
Oh, yes, I did. I did the big one. One of the big ones.
Yes.
Yes, I did. Okay, let's back up one step. Thank you. Okay, project RE 420, Bear River Canal Company, and it's an adjustment of terms. Ben will be given the presentation. My understanding is that no one from Bear River is in attendance, but is anyone from Bear River Canal Company in attendance? If so, will you please identify yourself?
Yeah, we're all here. This is Trevor Nelson, General Manager. I'm here with Jeff Hardy, the President, our engineer, Chris Slater, and then our subcontract excavator, Tony Daz.
Okay. So Trevor, Jeff, Tony, and did I miss somebody?
Chris Slater.
Later.
Chris. Okay. Okay. Welcome, Trevor, Jeff, Tony, and Chris. Glad to have you with us today. Ben will give a presentation first from staff.
All right, thank you. Jacqueline, you want to advance the slides? Thank you. So the Board of Water Resources has worked with the Bear River Canal Company on a number of projects to install pipe, metering equipment, and EPDM liner in portions of their Hammond East and Hammond Main canals between Brigham City and Cutler Reservoir. The applicant had an agenda item on this meeting today to ratify a decrease in funding that was below that which was previously committed by the board. However, early Monday morning this week, the canal company experienced a breach of their, I believe, the Hammond Main Canal, and as a result, they are coming before the board today to actually request an increase of funding. Next slide, please, Jacqueline. Now, I do have, you guys can see on this snapshot that I took from Google Earth where the canal breach is. You can see Cutler Reservoir on the upper left-hand side of the photo, and the breach is indicated by that yellow pin on the lower right-hand side. Next slide, please. And you can see there the slope. It was pointed out to me this morning by Carl Egge that it looks like from Google Earth images that the breach occurred right where the canal transitions from concrete liner to either clay liner or earthen liner, and you can actually see on the slope there where the kind of right before the flow of the canal is from left to right in the photo, and right before the breach the slope is relatively bare, and then after the breach location you can see where there's probably a lot of seepage going on from all that green vegetation on the slope. Next slide, please. Here's a photo of the breach. I've got a few more photos. Jacqueline, if you just kind of want to scroll through semi-slowly. Perfect. You guys can see what's going on there. Oh, right there is a picture of, they believe it was a badger that was burrowing into the bank that probably put the nail in the coffin. Next slide, please. Okay, before we discuss this section, I believe Trevor has, they're on site at the breach and would like to actually show what's going on there. So Trevor, if you want to go ahead and.
Okay, give us just a sec to flip our camera around here.
Well, it needs to see the dogs are working. True.
Okay, so I hope you all can see this. You can see from the breach, we have moved a significant amount of material into place, and it's been taken from the upper side of the hill here, and we pretty well brought the whole mountain in. We figure we've moved around 30,000 cubic yards of material. Let's see here. From up above, we brought it down into the canal and then across and filled in the gap that goes down to the river. And then after we had the material placed, we've gone down and dug it back out and have compacted it. And we've got this 27,000 pound compactor that we've been running on this, as well as using this sheep's foot attachment for a track hoe. But we've been at this since Monday, and this is a design to build type setup, just because as we get further into it, we kind of see what the soil conditions are like and what the situation is. And so we just wanted to report that we have made some significant progress, and this is kind of where we're at. So I'll turn it back to Ben.
Thanks, Trevor. So yeah, like you said, emergency repairs to the canal started on Monday, almost not long after the breach. A few hours after the breach occurred. The repair is expected to cost approximately $200,000. That was the most up to date estimate that I had received as I put this presentation together. And as Trevor mentioned, the repair is proceeding without an official engineer's design. It's kind of a built to design situation because of the time scale of the project. And with that, staff recommends that the board commit an additional $128,000 and amend the purchase agreement to state that the board will provide 53.4% of the project cost, up to $799,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $53,300. That is staff's report.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Trevor and crew. That was pretty enlightening. From Bear River Canal Company, do any of you, Trevor, Jeff, Tony, Chris, want to make any comments regarding this proposed motion, the project that we're addressing right now?
Just one more design note. We are building the bank back and we're compacting it up, and then we'll be lining it with this same EPDM liner that the rest of this loan has been used to put in, so that we can so that the rubber provides a insulation from the or a barrier from the water to prevent it from breaching again. And so we are hoping that we'll have water back in service within the week. But we right now we have 11,000 acres that are out of production because of this breach.
Yeah, pretty significant, isn't it? Okay, any other comments from Bear River Canal Company?
Maybe a question to Trevor. Trevor, are you going to pump any water to those users until it's going, or just hurry and try to get it done?
We're going to just try to get it done. The cost of pumping would be so astronomical because there's so much lift from the river to supply that it just wouldn't pay out. The shareholders would rather go without water than try to pay the pumping bill.
If we get the water in by Monday, Tuesday, we're probably not going to see a lot of damage. If it goes longer, we will.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck. Okay, board, do you have any questions for the Canal Company?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
This is Charles Holmgren. It was interesting on Easter Sunday weekend, we had one of the former Board of Water Resources engineers happened to be traveling through the area and was concerned about our canal system along the Hammond Canal. And so we thoroughly inspected this before we put water in because of his comment. And I can't remember the gentleman's name now, but we appreciated his interest in our canal. Also, I very much want to tell the rest of the board how much I, as a shareholder in this canal company, appreciate Ben Merritt and the rest of the staff, Shalane, for moving as quickly as they have when we're in this emergency.
Okay, any other questions for the Canal Company from the board? Okay, Randy Staker, any public comments on this project?
There were none.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, board, any discussion that you want to have on this prior to making a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Charles Holmgren again. And due to my conflict of interest with my position with the canal company, I will recuse myself from voting.
Okay. Okay. If you can please note that in our minutes that Charles has reclused himself from voting on this particular issue. Okay, any other discussion from the board? With that, we'll entertain a motion then on this project.
All right, Mr. Chair, I would move that the board commit an additional $128,000 and amend the purchase agreement to state that the board will provide 53.4% of the project cost, up to $799,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $53,300.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, this is Randy. I'll second it.
Okay, Randy seconds the motion. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or clarification on the motion or the project that any of the board members have? Okay, we will then take a roll call on the motion. Bear River Charles Holmgren has indicated that he will not be voting due to a conflict of interest. Weber River, Kyle Stevens.
Yes.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tennert.
Aye.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Green River, Randy Crozier.
Aye.
Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
Vote aye.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a roll call vote. Charles Holmgren abstained from voting. The remainder of the directors all voted unanimously affirmative, approving the project. Motion carries. Thank you. Good luck on your project, Bear River. And was there substantial, I just had a generalized question. Was there any damage, Trevor, or to irrigated land or developed land or anything? What was the extent of the damage?
No, it's right above the river, so it cuts straight down to the river. And I mean, there is a little bit of damage in between, but we've worked with the landowner, who also is a shareholder, on getting that cleaned up once that area dries out.
Okay.
So,
And you said you're going to put some rubber lining down below where you're recompacting. Is that what you said?
no, we'll be putting it in the channel once the channel's rebuilt.
Oh, okay. Okay.
To protect it so that none of the soils pick up the water weight.
Okay, great. Well, good luck on your project. And coming from where you come from, you know about those canals that are up on the bench and when they break, what they do. So good luck with it, Trevor.
We're going to sleep a little better here in about a week, I sure hope.
Good. Good luck on your project. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, moving along. Now we'll come to project RE381, which is Silver Creek Reservoir Company, which is a withdrawal of an application in Sanpete County. Jacqueline will be giving staff's presentation. Is anyone here from Silver Creek Reservoir Company before Jacqueline gives her presentation? Doesn't appear so, so go ahead, Jacqueline, please.
Okay, so I think we don't typically give presentations for withdrawals. I think you guys just go ahead and make the motion, but with this project, it has been inactive. So we're requesting to withdraw this project. If they're interested in reapplying in the future, they can submit another application and we'll consider their project at that time.
Okay, so staff's recommendation is that the project be withdrawn from further consideration. Is that correct? Is that the staff's recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Jacqueline on this from the board? Randy, were there any public comments on this?
Nope, not.
Okay, no public comments. Okay, staff, any discussion you want to have on this? Okay, we'll entertain a motion on staff's recommendation then.
Okay, this is Jim Lemon, and I make the motion that the project be withdrawn from further consideration by the board.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Norman Johnson. I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or clarification before we vote? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
Mr. Chairman, Charles Holmgren votes aye.
Weaver River, Kyle Stevens.
Aye.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tannert.
Aye.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Green River, Randy Crozier.
Aye.
Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
I vote aye.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a roll call vote. The voting's been unanimous, so this project RE 381 is withdrawn. Thank you, Jacqueline. Okay, just for your information, we've had 2 new applications come in, RE 437, which is for American Fork City, and RE 438, Midway Irrigation Company. So they will be being evaluated by staff over the next course of time. Next on our agenda, we have a planning report, Drought Planning and Collaboration by Laura Haskell. Laura?
Yes, this is Laura Haskell. I'm with the Division of Water Resources staff, and I'm going to give an update on what we are working on related to drought. And I don't see Jacqueline's slides. Do other people see her slides?
Yes.
Okay. The drought, we have a drought economic impact study that we've been working on with Utah State University. And we've been working on that for just over a year. They are almost finished with that. We have some additional funding for that. There are some resources with in addition to the funding from Water Resources, we had funding from National Integrated Drought Information System, NIDIS, as well as some funding through Utah State University. And their extension services contributed some funds to that study. So we were able to get more value for our money on that. So that was a good value there.
Okay, Laura, can we just put things on hold for just 1 second so that you can see your slides so you know where you're at?
Hey,
That would be
Laura,
helpful.
Laura, this is Marisa. You need to go up to the top where it shows the little people, top right, in the chat box.
Yes.
Click on the people, and you're going to scroll down to Jacqueline Pacheco presenting. And you need to click on the box, not her name, the box.
Ah, thank you.
You are welcome.
All right, thank you for that pause. So we have, the study looked at the behavioral responses to drought by agricultural producers, the different industries within agriculture, as well as they looked particularly at the cattle industry and the economic impact of drought on the cattle industry and tourism. Tourism, they have given us, just earlier this week, they gave us some preliminary results on tourism, but we don't have that in the presentation because the results are preliminary. As far as, next slide, the behavior results, they were what you would sort of expect, but we have this result and this study, and now we can use this if funds become available to mitigate that economic impact to producers. We can target where the best preferred response to drought for these different industries. And also we noticed that some possible tie-ins with water conservation. So fresh produce growers, for example, those are things like onions, those include fruit trees, pumpkins, things like that.
their preferred response to a drought would be to adopt water saving technology. That way they can get the most production out of their crop with reduced water use or water availability. Hay growers are very similar. They would prefer to switch to a more water efficient irrigation system to get as much of a produce crop as possible. So if we have, as I said, if we have funds available that we're trying to mitigate these economic impact to them, we want to focus it on those areas. Cattle producers are more inclined to either produce feed or reduce their herd, because that's all that reduced forage area can sustain. Next slide. So related to cattle ranching, these are the results that Utah State University came up with for the total cost of drought to the cattle industry. The top is the direct impact, which is simple. It's the number of lost cattle times the cost per head throughout the state. And then they looked at the induced impact, which is this what is required by the cattle industry, and then also what the demand is from the cattle industry. And they used a modeling program called IMPLAN to look at this and get these results. Then they took that one step further through this model and were able to look at when you have less income, then you reduce your household spending and you pay less taxes. So to determine the total economic impact of drought, they simply add those three components. And that's that bottom of the slide that you can see there. They looked at a moderate drought situation and determined that the impact to the cattle industry is $246 million in a moderate drought and $289 million in a severe drought. And we can also use this multiplier that they have in future cases, or if we're looking at a specific county or a specific situation. The direct impact is quite easy to determine. So we can use that multiplier of 3.2 to determine what the total economic impact might be in different situations. Next slide. One of the things that the next step that we're planning on taking related to drought as a staff is to update our drought response plan. We have had a drought response plan since 1993, and it has been updated several times. The last time was in 2013. It's about time to have it redone. There are a couple of things that we learned from the drought in 2018, and we would like to include those in the next revision of the drought response plan. Currently, we have a single drought indicator, and that is the surface water supply index that Jordan discussed earlier, that is published by published by Nrcs. And it's published in the spring. There are a few months that it isn't published, and we would like a little bit more flexibility by having multiple drought indicators to trigger that drought activation. We'd also like to address regional drought. Just like we have regional water conservation goals, we could have a drought that has an area that has drought in the state and other regions that don't. So we'd like to clarify the response to that. And then this drought review and reporting committee is something that should be meeting on a regular basis. We've found there's more attention paid to that when we're in a drought than when we are not. So we'd like to make some adjustments to that, to have that be an effective committee that is meeting on a regular basis. Next slide. One of the success stories from drought is that we're holding drought webinars that are addressing drought specifically in Utah. We began holding these in January, and we started holding them monthly, and then in April we went to every 2 weeks as conditions were changing quickly. And these are about 30 minutes of information presented, followed by an opportunity for people to express their view of drought in their area. We take a look at the U.S. Drought Monitor maps, which are published and updated weekly. And then in conjunction with all the information presented, we test the accuracy, sort of ground truth those. We've gotten a lot of comments back that this has improved the U.S. Drought Monitor maps, that they're more up to date with current conditions in Utah because of these webinars. And they've been successful because of all the collaboration that we have gotten from a lot of different agencies. Division of Water Resources, along with Utah Department of Agriculture and Food, has taken on basically an administrative role for these webinars. And then material is presented by the National Weather Service, their Salt Lake office, as well as their Grand Junction office has presented some material. Nrcs presents material. USGS has presented material on stream flow. Colorado River Basin Forecast Center has contributed material on forecasts and stream flow. And then in addition to that, the Colorado Climate Center in Fort Collins, Colorado has helped us to set up these webinars and take the lessons that they learned from the webinars they put on and give us pointers on that. So we've gotten a lot of help on this, and it's turned into something that has helped make those drought maps more accurate. We really would like this to be a statewide project, so we are trying to promote as much public and industries to attend these webinars and give feedback on them to update the U.S. Drought Monitor maps. Next slide. This is kind of an example of something that might come up in one of the webinars. This is the Surface Water Supply Index for 2020. It starts with the January 1st number and goes through to the May 1st number. It's a monthly number. And the positive numbers up to a 4 are in wet conditions. A 4 would be, say, a flood condition. 0 is an average year. And then the negative numbers down to a -4 would be an extreme drought, dry condition. The thing that we're noticing now, since the year has started, is that they are trending more towards those negative numbers, towards the drought conditions. So we are holding those webinars every 2 weeks, and it is our intent to be proactive and make sure that those U.S. Drought Monitor maps are current, they're up to date. The U.S. Drought Monitor maps are a trigger for certain funding, loan, things that people can apply for related to drought. And it all depends on which category their area is in on that map. So it's very important financially to different industries that those maps are accurate. So that's why we're putting so much effort into getting those accurate. And that's what I had to talk about with drought. Are there any questions that anyone has for me?
Board members, any questions for drought for Laura? My question is, what can you do to get us out of this drought, Laura?
That's something we haven't quite figured out yet. That's still on the plate of a thing to tackle.
You and Jordan need to get your heads together on that one. Yeah.
So Blaine, if any of the board members would be like to be invited to those webinars, we'd be more than happy to invite you to be on them if you're interested and want to be involved. So if you do, please reach out and I'll let Laura know.
Okay. So anybody that wants to be on that, reach out to Todd on that. Thank you. Appreciate it, Laura. Thank you very much. Randy, was there any public comment on where it was on the agenda on the planning report, drought planning?
There were no comments.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, next item on our agenda, Lake Powell pipeline report. Joel.
Yes, and I believe we have Rick Baxter from the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation on the line as well, in case there are any questions about the additional funds for that motion.
You're really breaking up and sounding it, Joel. Can you move closer to your thing, or something's not working right?
Yeah. I've got my microphone on. Is this any better? It could be internet speed issues at our house. No.
No.
Okay. We may.
How about Marisa? We'll just call you right now, Joel, and then you'll go on a phone line.
Joel, it sounds more like a Wi-Fi bandwidth thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this any better?
Try again. Just speak for just a minute.
Okay, this is Joel. Are you guys able to hear me any better now?
That is definitely better than what it was, Joel.
Great. What I was trying to say, when we get to the motion about the additional funds for the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, we do have Rick Baxter on the line, I believe, in case there are any questions that the board may have for the Bureau of Reclamation. I'll give the board an update on where we're at right now. Bureau of Reclamation is busily working on the draft environmental impact statement. They've been doing a tremendous amount of work, late nights and weekends, trying to get all of this information together. The draft environmental impact statement is supposed to be released in June, to go out for public comment. We at the division think it would be good for the board to consider submitting a comment on the environmental impact statement when it comes out, and wondered that if the board was interested in doing so, we could have Kim Wells, our public information officer, prepare a letter that could be sent to the board to review, and then perhaps at the June board meeting we could get that before you to see if you'd like to submit a comment on the project. So that may be coming over the next few days. The other recent news in the project, you may have seen in the news that the Kane County Water Conservancy District has withdrawn from the environmental process for the Lake Powell pipeline. Part of the reason behind that decision was a reevaluation of their population projections and their water use numbers, as well as their conservation goals. And the district determined that they did not have a foreseeable need to participate in the Lake Powell pipeline project at this time. They recognize also that growth patterns can change unexpectedly, as they've seen down in that area of the state, and that if at a future moment they determine they do need additional water, there would be an opportunity for them to do their own environmental analysis of the 10-mile line that would connect them to the Lake Powell pipeline. So there is that possibility at a future date, but for now that they are withdrawing from the environmental process. That leaves Washington County Water Conservancy District as the sole project participant, and they would be fully responsible for the project's repayments. Another item to update the board on is the water rights change application. Was filed April 13th. The protest period opened on April 30th and goes until May 27th. And as of today, when I checked before the board meeting, there still have not been any protests filed, but I'm sure that there will be before that period closes on May 27th. And water rights will be handling that. Wanted to give the board an update of where we are at with the Stantec contract. We have spent, since the contract was started in 2007, I've spent $36,921,459, and that there is approximately $2.5 million remaining on that contract, which the current amendment goes until the end of this year. So as we get closer to the end of this year, we will be coming to you with a proposal of if we think we need additional time or money to finish out this contract. Speaking of contracts and additional funds, with all of the work that Bureau of Reclamation is doing, they have burned through the funding that the board has committed to this point to Reclamation, and they've kind of been closely tracking that and trying to be as wise as they can with that funding. But they are running out, and we will need to provide additional funds to allow them to continue their work on preparing the environmental impact statement. The recommendation from staff is to commit an additional $1 million to allow them to continue their work. And if there are any questions on that, perhaps me or Rick Baxter could answer those. Any questions from the board?
I just have a question, not on the million. This is Blaine, not on the $1 million thing, but on with Kane County leaving, just Washington County left in it. What does that do to the feasibility overall of the pipeline project?
Great question. The same analysis that Kane County undertook to determine that they did not need to participate at this time, Washington County has conducted a similar analysis to show that they absolutely do need the additional water, and that their participation is vital in this project. So when we look at it, the participation had always been about, as far as the water usage, about 95% Washington County and only about 5% Kane County. So that Kane County was a very minor participant in the project all along. But Washington County will proceed now. As I said before, it was 95%, and they'll proceed as the main project participant, and they do show a need as well as the ability to repay on this. So it looks like a go for them.
Hey, Mr. Chair, Joel, would you also touch on when the Legislative Auditor General did their look at it, the financial component? They didn't even include King County in the repayment, I don't believe. Joel, will you just touch on that and how that said they could move forward?
Sure. Thanks, Todd. The legislative auditors took a very close look at the repayment ability of Washington County. I believe there was some brief mention of Kane County in the terms that they weren't going to really do much analysis on them because of that small portion of the project. But the focus was on Washington County. They looked at the three possible revenue sources, which would be water rates, impact fees, and property taxes, and determined that Washington County has more than sufficient capacity of revenues to be able to pay for this project over the lifetime, given the projected growth that comes from the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute. And that includes looking at the range of growth potential, from low to high, that even at the low growth scenario, that it still would be doable. So.
Thank you, and welcome, Rick. I might mention that Randy Crozier just had one of the board members representing Green River had to leave, so he's no longer with us for the remainder of our board meeting. But welcome, Rick. What have you got that you would like to add to what Joel has said, Rick? Anything?
Nothing of any real importance other than that we are trying feverishly to get this document on the street by June 5th.
And we appreciate your efforts with that. Thank you. Board members, any questions for Joel or Rick regarding this?
Jim Lemon, I sit on the board down this way, and I just would like to compliment Rick. He's done more in a short time than a lot of them have done in a long time. He's really made a difference to us. So I appreciate him and his staff. So thank you, Rick.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Okay, with that, Randy Staker, were there any public comments received on the Lake Powell pipeline component where it was going to be on the agenda?
Not this time.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Okay, any further discussion of the board on the presentation that Joel and Rick had? Okay, Joel requested that someone make a motion for some additional funds for the Bureau to continue working on the environmental analysis and preparation of the EIS, the environmental impact statement. Is there anyone willing to make a motion on that?
I am. This is Jim Lemon. And I would make the motion that the board commit an additional $1 million to the Bureau of Reclamation for their continued work on the Lake Powell pipeline environmental analysis and preparation of the environmental impact statement, or referred to as the EIS.
So that was 1 million. Is that correct, Jim, in your motion?
That is correct.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second on Jim's motion?
This is Wayne. I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or clarification any of the board members have on this motion? Okay, if not, we'll vote on the motion by roll call. Bear River, Charles Holmgren.
Mr. Chairman, I vote aye.
Weber River, Kyle Stevens.
Aye.
Salt Lake, Juliet Tenner.
Aye.
Provo River, Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Green River, Randy Crozier has left the meeting. Upper Colorado River, Norman Johnson.
Aye.
Lower Colorado River, James Lemon.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a roll call vote on the motion. It was unanimous minus Randy Crozier, who had to leave the meeting and was absent for this vote. Thank you, Joel and Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, it's Director Adams' turn to give his report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We've talked about a lot of things that I had on the agenda to chat with. Maybe I'll just start picking some off of here. We've got staff that are working on a state water plan update, as we've talked to you a little bit about. We're hoping that in the next several months, we'll have you all a draft of the next state water plan for your review and perusal. Our planning staff, all of our staff at Water Resources have been working so hard on getting that report out there, and we should have something to you here, hopefully in June or July. So that's that one. As we chatted at the last board meeting, and I believe Shalane has sent to you, the next board meeting, we will have a draft comment for the COVID response and how we respond financially to these budget issues that are out there. As we talked a little bit in the budget meet or the briefing meeting this morning, the division, the department, the state of Utah are going to be going through some potential budget crisis crunches in the near future. We are preparing for that. We are working strongly with the department, and we will, executive appropriations met yesterday. They are still waiting for the latest projections, but I believe the latest that they said is we could see up to a $2 billion budget shortfall or cut in state government budgets. The budget that was passed in FY 2021 was $20 billion, and so that could be around a 10% budget cut. So we're working through that. Bear River Development, as we stated in the briefing meeting, we have purchased our first property along the right-of-way or at least one of the potential right-of-ways in Fox Elder County. We will continue to look at more potential parcels. We've been working with UDOT. We're going to separate, and we'll separate, but still somewhat work together in going forward. So there's that. Let's see. couple more things. I've been starting to get more and more involved in Colorado River in this new position. It's amazing that all the work that's going on that, we're getting ready for the interim guidelines discussion and the drought management contingency, all of those things. And so we'll have more on that here shortly. Kudos goes out to Water Resources staff and all the many things that they're doing. It's amazing to watch this staff of almost 50 individuals that are not in the office right now. They're teleworking. We have kept the office open in this COVID thing, and it's been difficult. We've been a lot of video conference calls from. I'll tell you, some days 8 in the morning until 5:30 at night. It gets a little bit old, a little quick, but we'll continue to work. But kudos to Water Resources staff. I can't tell you how much I rely on each and every one of them. And the awesome work that they're doing. As we got almost off of our briefing meeting, it was I got something in the mail or a text to me that oh gosh, let me go back to it. Grand County, Summit County, Wasatch County, Salt Lake City, and West Valley will remain at the orange state of COVID, but the rest of the state will move to yellow. We're still trying to figure out what that means. We'll continue to do that as we do whatever we're going to do. We'll have more guidance from the governor's office and department later this afternoon, hopefully tomorrow. So we have brought in protective equipment for staff as we're transitioning from red, orange, yellow, green, purple, whatever color it may be, that we'll get back to work and we'll have protective equipment for staff. So thank you to them for all they're doing. And then one more set of kudos to our IT folks, Paul, Carmen, and that crew. Thank you so much for keeping this meeting going and having us so well prepared. Marisa, Shalane, all the staff that's been involved in helping us all have a successful board meeting. Thank you to you all. And I think, Mr. Chairman, that is my report. Unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Director Adams from the board? If not, I would like to echo my appreciation to each member of staff. I am just impressed. Of course, with my career, we're going through the same thing down here with my job with the COVID-19. And I know what's involved and everything that goes on to working at home. Several people where I work are working out of home. My hat is off to each of you. I appreciate your dedication. Very few days go by that I haven't had some form of contact, seeing a little sliver of what Water Resource you employees, your staff is doing. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I echo the appreciation on the IT folks. It's just amazing what can be done in today's day and age as far as having a meeting where we're all in different locations. And thank you for your efforts on that as well. Appreciate the board members and keeping things going along in your respective areas. Just appreciate everybody. The next meeting is scheduled for our board meeting on June 18th. Whether that will be another one of these virtual electronic meetings or whether it will be, if things change enough, whether it will be an in-person meeting, I guess we will just have to wait and see. But appreciate everybody's efforts and what has been done. Appreciate your time today, and I think several good things have happened today. With that, does anybody have anything else in closing? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well moved.
That was Norman moved that we adjourn. Is there a second? Or do we need a second?
Kyle Stevens, I'll second.
Second.
Todd, good luck with your budget reduction meetings.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay, roll call vote. Charles, motion was made to close.
Mr. Chairman, I vote aye.
Kyle?
Yes.
Juliet?
Aye.
Wayne?
Aye.
Wayne, or Randy's already gone. Norman?
Aye.
And Jim?
Yes.
With that, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good
all.
job.
YouTube session has concluded.
Sorry.
Good job, Marisa.